All right, and we're back. Welcome back to Monster Train. After some technical issues on Steam, we are kind of getting back and getting started here. I started to run. Monster Train's a deck building card game if you're just joining us. We're just going to jump basically right in. Just two quick reminders. The game is coming out on May 21st. There's a free demo. If you're interested in what you see in just a sec and want to play, go check that out. And please wishlist it if you like what you see. All right, let's jump back in. So we're just going to continue where we left off. We had just finished the first battle in the game. And this is a roguelike game structure, so it's randomized. It's meant to be played hundreds of times. So you're traveling through the 9 rings of hell, trying to reach the center of hell. We're playing as the monsters of hell, and we're trying to restore the flames. That's the gist. All right, so let us pick a card. So this is one of the first rewards. We're playing Hellhorned as our primary clan today. So what do I want to do? Unfortunately, we didn't get any creatures that have a summon ability. We chose Ashes of the Fallen as an artifact, and I was hoping to get a creature that triggers with that, but we didn't. So we got 3 things. We got 3 spells. One is Hornbreak. Piercing, deal 5 damage. So it ignores armor and shields. That's what piercing does, which can be very useful, especially against trials, against enemies that are stronger as we go through the game. So that's interesting, and it's definitely better. I'm looking at our deck now. It's definitely better than Torch, which just deals 2 damage, and the Ember cost between the two is the same. We've got Fortify, apply armor 6. Applying armor is always good. We are kind of going for a Slay-oriented build, which means we kind of we want to benefit from Slay right now by getting more kills and powering up our attack. So Fortify's not bad, but also not super synergistic. And the other one is Vent, which is an X cost card, which means it consumes all of your remaining Ember when you cast it. And it deals 2x damage to enemy units on the floor that you're targeting within the train. So this is an AoE damage spell. What do I want? I think I'll take Vent. I think it has more utility value. All right, and now we're gonna pick a card from our allied clan, which is the Awoken on this run. So in all runs in Monster Train, you are playing 2 monster clans at the same time. Right now we're playing the Hellhorned and the Awoken. There's 5 clans in the game. They all do different things and have different gameplay themes. So, you get to mix and match them. Your primary clan and your allied clan determine on what cards and what artifacts you see during your run. And then your primary clan also determines who your champion is. We're playing the Hellhorn, so our champion is the Hornbreaker Prince on this run. All right. Question from Kingdom Cody. Sorry about that. Do X-Cost cards get benefits from healing damage spells costing 1 less? Good question. We're actually still modifying that right now. We're still messing with how X-Cost cards interact with other upgrades. So I don't know, but it probably should. We are kind of making X-Cost cards more consistent. All right. In our allied clan pack, here are our options. We've got Vine Grasp, deal 2 damage, and move the unit to the front. This is great for picking backline enemy units out and pulling them forward so that you can kill them, because often backline units are some kind of mage or something that are annoying and do extra stuff. However, we took Vent, which can kill them, so probably not as appealing to me. Restoration Detonation, which restores health and deals the amount restored back to the front enemy unit in the room that you cast this in. But we're not really a healing-oriented kind of deck structure either right now. And we've got Glimmer, restore 2 health to all friendly units and deal 2 damage to all enemy units. It's another AoE damage spell with also an AoE heal. I think that sounds good. I'm going to go with Glimmer. All right, so here we are, back in the map where we can see the 9 rings of hell. For anybody that missed the stream earlier when we were having some technical issues, this is kind of the overall map. That's where we're trying to travel through the 9 rings of hell. We start in Limbo above. That's where we were before the first battle. And then we're going down, 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 through all these sections that are still frozen over to try to reach the Frozen Heart, where we will restore the flames of hell after we defeat Seraph, the great evil from heaven. All right, so we just unfroze the Cliffs of the Fallen Souls. And every map section after the first section has a path choice where you can go one way or the other. And by choosing one of the two ways, you get to choose from different types of rewards. So if I go left here, I get to choose from the Merchant of Steel, which is a merchant where you can upgrade your units. So you can upgrade all units here except your champion. Champions are special units that are only upgradable at the Dark Forge, which we visited earlier, and if we do well, we'll get to visit again. And we will have a Hellhorn banner, which is where we can gain a Hellhorn unit to add to our deck. So this is where we pick another card. On the right side, we've got the Merchant of Magic to upgrade our spells, and an Awoken banner to pick an Awoken clan unit. But because I know our final boss is one that kind of punishes spell usage, I'm going to focus on units, so let's go to the left. So now that our train has traveled over here, we can no longer select these rewards and we can visit these. So first I'm going to see what unit options I have. Alright, there's 2 demons from the Hellhorn banner. So we've got the Demon Fiend and we've got the Horned Warrior. So the Demon Fiend costs 4 Ember, kind of expensive, 40-40 stats, very strong, and takes up 3 capacity, which I didn't explain in the first battle, but I'll show you what that means in the second. And we've got the Horned Warrior, 1 Ember, 2 capacity, 30 attack, 4 life. So kind of weak in terms of life, but good bang for the buck damage-wise if you can keep them alive. Because I don't even have 4 Ember per turn yet, I think I'm going to skip the Demon Fiend and let's go with the Horned Warrior. And let's check out the Merchant of Steel. So here's our little merchant guy, and what can we do here? So, since some people are seeing this for the first time, I'll go over the options. There's some services. We can purge a card, so we can just get a card out of our deck for a certain amount of gold. You can do this as many times as you want for as much gold as you have, although over the course of the run the cost keeps increasing. And you can re-roll the options down below. You can do this once per merchant, and these are the kind of upgrade options that are for sale currently, so let's look at those. So we've got the Fury Stone, upgrade a unit with Rage 4, so they'll come in with Rage. The Strength Stone, upgrade a unit with +6 attack, and these are permanent upgrades. And the Eternal Stone, upgrade a unit with Endless. So Endless means that when they die, they return to the top of our draw pile, so they just keep coming back, which can be really interesting. All right, Cryurus the Dragon says, reminds me, was the bug fixed with the Mansion modifier? Well, I'm not sure which bug you're referring to, but we look at all bug reports and we try to fix them all, so probably. If you give me more details, I can answer it more clearly. And Radaman12 says, hi Mark, I have a question. Are you guys going to release the soundtrack together with the game? Yes, that is the plan. The soundtrack will be for sale on Steam, and will be available on other platforms as well in the future. So, yep, look for that. And there's some new tracks you haven't heard, especially if you've only seen the public beta. We've been hard at work, or our composer Jordan Chin has been hard at work at making the soundtrack really awesome. All right, so which one of these ones do I want to buy? If I go back and look at my deck right now, starting with Rage, I mean, I wish I could put that on my Hornbreaker Prince, but merchant upgrades can only be applied to your normal units. So I could give the Rage buff to the Horned Warrior. That might be cool. If I could place him behind a Train Steward to act as a blocker, that might be nice. So let's just do that, just as an example. So I'm previewing the upgrade. It says he's going to get Rage 4. You know, you'd see the same thing here, but I definitely don't want to put it on the Train Steward. Let's upgrade him. Okay. And let's purge a card. I think actually I might purge a Restore. Like, now that I have Glimmer, it kind of replaces the it's like an even better Restore, so that's kind of replaced the function of that. And I kind of, you know, I like purging in general. I like to have a small deck. I kind of like, I don't love Train Stewards, but I sort of want them also because they can act as blockers for both our champion and our Horned Warrior. So Vent, similarly to Glimmer, is kind of supplying a similar function to Torch, so I'm going to get rid of a Torch. Alright. And let's get going. Alright, time for another battle. As I showed before, but since some people missed it on Steam, I'll say it again. So at the beginning of each battle, we kind of give you a short explanation of what the battle's about. We show you some of the units, the enemy units you're going to be facing. Because this is a roguelike roguelite game structure. At each ring of hell, there's a bunch of different battles, and there's a bunch of different bosses you can face, basically. And so the random algorithm is choosing which ones we're going to face on this particular run. So this is the Penitent Prayers Battle. The reconcilers have arrived in great force to make sure that you repent for the sins that hell has brought upon the world. And we're going to be facing the Steel Slate boss. And he looks pretty spiky, so no surprise, his gameplay mechanic is spikes. So when we hit him, we're going to take damage back, which is going to be really rough for us because we have two high damage dealing units with the Hornbreaker Prince and the Horn Warrior, but they're also very low health. So we'll see how this goes. And the Reconciler units will be here. And these guys summon a card, kind of like the last boss did, that junks up your deck. And our trial. Non-boss enemy units enter with spikes 3. And if we successfully win the battle, we get an additional 75 coins. That's even worse. So we already are going to face a spikes boss. It does say non-boss units get it, but we would be putting these two units at risk of death, like at all times, because of taking damage from spikes. So I am not going to take that one. Let's jump into the battle. And I'll catch up on the questions in just a sec. Okay, so for anybody who missed the first battle, quick recap. This is your train. This is the Bone Shaker. We're in the engine. What we're trying to do is we're trying to protect the pyre. This is the pyre crystal, the last shard of the pyre. This is our last chance at restoring the flames of hell. We're trying to bring it to the center of hell to restore the flames. We've got to protect this. The last shard of the pyre is also what your health is for the run. It's here in the upper left in the heads-up display of the game. If all the life goes to 0 on that, then it's game over, you've lost the run, and you have to start over. At the end of each turn, enemies climb the floor, one floor at a time, climb up to the top. If they make it into the pyre room, they start beating on the pyre. So we want to stop them from doing that. We do that by summoning our units into the train, and I will, let's see, do I want to summon them here? Yes, so I am going to summon the Hornbreaker Prince, my champion. I'm going to summon the Train Steward in front of him to act as a blocker. I'm probably going to use a torch to kill this Reconciler, because if I don't, at the end of the turn, he's going to summon a Sinner's Burden junk card, a Scourge card, into my deck, which I don't want. And then the last thing I'm going to do is probably put the Horned Warrior on this floor. Now, why would I summon the Horned Warrior into a different floor from these other guys? Well, there's a limiter on how many units can be in a single floor. It's called capacity. So capacity is on cards. So right above his head there's these 2 yellow dots. That's how much capacity this unit takes up. So you can see if I try to summon him into this room, you can't. It's showing red. That's because the floor capacity is at 4 out of 5 right now. The Hornbreaker Prince takes up 2, and the Train Steward also takes up 2 capacity. So we're stuck with that. So I can, however, summon him up here because there's plenty of space. So let's do that. And you can see he came in with his Rage buff, so he got an extra 8 attack. Rage does decrease every turn, and it's kind of a waste a little bit here to have him up here since there's no enemies, but yeah, I'll live with it. I'm setting up for the future. All right. So with all that done, let's end the turn, and we'll see the enemies fight out. So this Disciple Protector has no attack, so he's just going to get beat down right here. And because we set up appropriately, our champion got his Slay trigger, and he gained an extra 10 attack for the rest of the battle, which is awesome. All right, I'll jump over to the questions real quick. Kingdom Cody says, is Endless a Hellhorn-only merchant buff? No, it is not. That one is available for any clan. So there are some merchant buffs that are specific to certain clans, and you have to be playing those clans for them to be available. And there are other ones that are just available regardless of which clan you're playing. And the same thing goes for artifacts. There are some artifacts that are clan-specific and only show up in runs if you're playing those clans. And then there are some that are generic. Fufu4230 asks, I was hoping they'd still look like weird orange cats. Are there still orange versions in the game? Yes, so there's 3 different types of merchants. There's the unit merchant, basically, there's the spell merchant, and then there's a artifact merchant. And all 3 of the characters they're like brothers and sisters, these cats, and they all look different. All right, Chimera Draco asks, how big are the Emps? I want to hold them. Well, they're very holdable, so you'll see. Hopefully we'll get the opportunity to draft one in a minute. And Nightshade Lotus asks, is there an option in the game to stop the background from moving? No, there is not, but if there's enough demand, we can consider it. Yeah, but you're supposed to be moving on the train, so you're moving through this part of hell right here, so that's why it's moving. All right, so things I want to do right now. This collector guy summoned in, so I explained him in the last battle, but again, some people might have missed that. This is a little cherub from heaven who has gold, and he pops up periodically, randomly in battles. And if you defeat him, he gives you extra gold. However, he'll flee from battle if you don't kill him. So I have 1 turn to try to get rid of him, and if I do, I get 50 gold in this battle. So I want to do that. But I have to use some of my resources. I have to divert some resources up here to accomplish that. So, and he only has 1 health right now, so it's not too hard to kill him, but they get harder as the run kind of goes on. So one thing I definitely want to do, though, is I want to summon a Train Steward to help protect my Horned Warrior. I think I'll torch that collector. So good, got rid of him, got the gold. And I'm going to use Vent with 1 Ember, and so since it's an X card, it will deal 2 damage, 2x, so 2 times 1 is 2, to all enemy units, which will kill the guy in the back line, which is good. And then my units here will kill the other enemy. And my champion got another boost to his damage, which is fantastic. So with nothing else much going on, I think I'll heal up my blocker here, and I'll just summon in 2 more Train Stewards up here, just in case we need them. Because like I was saying before, with a spikes-based boss, these low-health attackers are going to have a rough time. So we can see in our combat preview, before we hit end turn, right now we're seeing the Steel Slate boss is going to take 71 damage and will live. The backline Reconciler will live, because nothing is going to damage him unless we change something about that. Our Train Steward is dead, and our champion is going to be dead. So let's try to see, let's do as much as we can. So, I mean, the obvious thing to me is we got to torch the backline unit. We got rid of him. Didn't really help us, so the damage didn't change in terms of the damage preview, which just means to me, it's telling us that our units are going to die from spikes, for sure. So we might as well torch him to deal 2 more damage. We could throw Restore on here. Hey, you're going to deal an extra 5 damage. So Restore gives regen 1 in this version of the game. This is the latest and greatest version as we lead up to the release. So some things have been redesigned if you're familiar with the public beta. Alright, so let's end our turn. So our units are going to attack, and they're dealing some good damage, but they're going to get torn up by spikes. And when a boss is able to climb at the end of turn, they destroy the room that they came from. So I'm repeating this again just because some people might have missed it. So this room is now frozen over. We can't cast any spells in there. It's just totally junked up. We don't want to go there anymore. We can't go there anymore. And the boss is going to continue to try to climb into the pirate room. Now, this is looking good, though. Our combat preview is showing that we are going to deal enough damage to defeat the boss. So, what the heck? Let's just vent him anyways, and let's beat him down. Alright. Cool. So, at the end of a battle, you get some information about score, which, you know, as a new player, you probably won't care about, but as you start competing in online multiplayer, you might start caring more about. Let's collect the rewards. So, we got some gold, and we're going to get 2 card packs. So here is our card pack from the Hellhorned clan. We've got the Molting Imp, which is an imp unit, and it has a summon trigger. And remember, we took the Ashes of the Fallen artifact earlier, so all summon triggers are doubled. And when he is summoned, he deals 10 damage to a random enemy unit. So that would be, that's pretty cool. I like that. We've got Ritual of Battle, a spell that applies Rage 6. Rage combos pretty well with our Slay trigger here on our Hornbreaker Prince, because the more damage he does, the more likely he is to get a kill and get that Slay trigger kind of boosting up and up and up. In Hornbreak, we saw before, it's a direct damage spell, so I won't go over it again. But to have fun with the Ashes of the Fallen, why don't we go for the Molting Imp? And for our Allied Clan pack, we've got Sharpen. These are from the Awoken clan. Enhance with +4 attack and apply Spikes 4. So we just saw how Spikes works on an enemy. With this card, we could put Spikes on our units. Now we have a bunch of units with low health though, so Spikes 4 is not great in our current deck for our units. enhancing a unit with +4 attack for the remainder of battle. That's what the enhance keyword means. It's actually similar to how this slay trigger works here. That's not bad, but for 2 Ember, it's a high cost to pay. There are ways to bring that down, however, with merchant upgrades. Glimmer, we've already seen. We already have one in our deck. And here's Wildwood Sap. It applies Regen 5, which helps keep a unit alive at the end of a combat round. It will heal for however many regen stacks you currently have. But this card has Consume, which means it can only be played once per battle, unless you are able to do something to kind of counteract that. So, yeah, we gotta decide what we want to do here. I think I'm going to take Wildwood Sap and hope that we can remove Consume off of it. So there are upgrades from the Merchant where you can do that, so let's give it a try. Alright, so at the Bogworm's Remains, we can choose to go left or right. If we go left, we get a Spell Merchant, and we get a Hellhorn Banner, another unit. And if we go right, we get a Unit Merchant, we get some Pyre Health, which we don't need because we're already at full. And either way, we can go to the Concealed Caverns, which is a place where you get a little bit of story and you get to make kind of game-twisting decisions. So I'm going to go left because I'm hoping to remove Consume from that regen spell. So let's see. First, I'm going to pick a unit just for fun. What do we get? We got Deranged Brute. He's rare, so it's got a little purple icon there. It means it's a rare card. 1 Ember, 2 capacity. Pretty good stats, base stats, 10 attack, 35 life. Rage on friendly units adds an additional +2 attack per stack. This combos quite nicely with our Horned Warrior that we're setting up here. And because this guy has so much life, he can act as kind of a frontline blocker that's way better than a Trained Steward. So I am highly attracted to the Deranged Brute. The other option is the Branded Warrior. 1 Ember, 2 capacity. It's rare. That's what the blue icon means. Rage 3. So he starts with Rage also, and when he gets a kill, so he has a Slay trigger, apply Rage 2 to all friendly units within the current floor. But his base stats are 10-5, and we already have too many kind of weak attackers, so I'm definitely going to go for the Deranged Brute. And before visiting the Merchant, I'm actually going to go to the Concealed Caverns and see what happens. So we're inside of our train, we open up the boxcar doors. Alright, what do we get? 2 ornate chests have emerged from the thawing ice. Both chests have a strange lock mechanism that looks like they can be picked with shards from the pyre. The more decorated chest might take a few more tries, though. Do you break off some of your pyre to get what's inside? So, yes, I'm going to lose... I mean, I've got full health, so I feel like I can afford to lose some health. So my options are, we can lose 25 pyre health and gain 150 coins, lose 5 health and gain 25 coins, or just leave. So I'm going to take the big option, so I get a lot of coins. The lock clicks after a few attempts, revealing the wealth of contents within. So that was definitely one of the simpler kind of Concealed Cavern events. There's quite a few of them. Some of them are way more complicated, or the decisions are way, I guess, more affecting on your run overall than that particular one was. But it's still a nice one. It's a nice trade-off to think about and, you know, kind of think about the risk-reward there. All right, so here is our Spell Merchant, who is now a gray cat. Now, to answer that previous question, I think the orange cat is now the Artifact Merchant. It must be. Process of elimination. So, what are our upgrade options? So we've got Power Stone. Upgrade a spell with +5 magic power. Magic power increases the amount of damage any direct attack or healing spell deals. So, one spell I love to give magic power to is Glimmer, because it both boosts its healing effect and its damage effect, which is awesome. So if we put it on here, it's going to get 7 health AoE heal to my units, and it's going to do 7 damage AoE damage to enemies. So I'm definitely going to do that. So let's just go ahead and buy that right now. Alright, what else do we have? We've got another one of those, and then we've got Stack Stone. And, well, let's look at the Power Stone again. So by default, every unit and every spell can have 2 upgrades on it. There's an artifact that lets you extend that, but by default, that's how it works. So we could put another one on Glimmer. We could also put Magic Power on Vent, which is interesting. It does 2x +5, so you could start to cast Vent with 0 Ember. It's almost like a free AoE 5 damage to enemies, which is also pretty nice. And I think I would probably spread the love, like rather than stacking up all the upgrades on a single card. So in this case, so let's put it on Vent. All right, and then we can upgrade a spell to gain double stack. And what does double stack do? Double stack doubles the effect of status effects. Status effects are a specific type of thing that exists in the game, like regen is one of them. So if I click this, you can preview it. So it adds double stack, and then regen goes from 5 to 10, which is pretty nice. 10 regen's a lot. So I think I'll do that, and let's just gamble on the fact that we might be able to remove consume later. In fact, we could try to re-roll now for 50 gold. I've forgotten how much all these upgrades normally cost, but re-rolling will refresh the contents of the merchant for a gold cost, and we might have enough gold left over to buy what we want, so let's just give it a shot. Alright, and you can only re-roll once per merchant visit, so you can't just keep doing that. Alright, what do we get? Okay, so we can upgrade a spell with plus 15 magic power and give it consume. We can take 1 ember off the cost of a spell. So we could make Glimmer cost 0, which would be nice, but I don't want to put my gold on that. And we can upgrade a spell to gain Permafrost, which gives a spell frozen when drawn. And what that does is it means it will sit in your hand. It will not be discarded at the end of turn. So you can use that for spells that need specific timing to really be valuable. So yeah, I'm not sure we have anything where we would want that. I mean, maybe Wildwood Sap, but if we put it on Wildwood Sap, then we would no longer be able to remove Consume later. So I didn't get what I wanted to see from that reroll. We didn't get the upgrade that allows us to remove Consume. So anyway, let's leave and head in to the Datalist Battle, which is the first flying boss we're going to see. Datalist. Heaven's disgraced professor has improved his explosive inventions, creating better protection through technological enhancements. And each of these flying bosses, there's a couple of them you'll see throughout the Rings of Hell, has what we call a sin. So the sin on this one is double barrel. Constructed explosives explode twice, and you'll see what those are right now. Okay, there's just a reminder of the sin you're going to be facing. Okay, so something's different already. This boss is already in the train. He's kind of flying alongside of it. And he summoned in this bomb, the constructed explosive, which blows up twice. So on its turn, it blows up for 10 damage, and then it blows up again for another 10 damage. So it's pretty threatening, especially with our low health units. Like if I put my Hornbreaker Prince in this room, he'd be dead instantly. There's also a bunch of enemies spawned in, because they're still coming in the train too. So this boss is not yet in Relentless mode that I showed off earlier, and will eventually be in Relentless mode, but for now, we just need to figure out how we want to place our units, especially since our hand only has units, unfortunately. That's definitely not what I want, to kind of set up for our train. So, looks like these enemies are going to be dealing 20 damage, 5, 5, 5, 5. So that's rough. If I put Train Stewards in there, they're going to get destroyed. The Deranged Brute could live, but he would take severe damage. And this bomb's also going to deal 20 damage, which is also not good. Ooh, what do I want to do here? This is a really kind of terrible starting hand, unfortunately, so... I think I'll put the Deranged Brute here. I really, I want to summon the Horned Warrior into the same room with the Deranged Brute to get the additional buff to Rage, but we don't have that as an option right now. So, I mean, I can't protect the Hornbreaker Prince unless I put him here. If I put him in any of these other rooms, he's dead because of our capacity limit and the 20 damage that's going to be dealt in either of these. So my only option here is I can either not cast my champion, which is a huge risk, or I could put him in the room with the Deranged Brute and just accept the fact that I'm not going to get my combo that I wanted to get. Which I will probably do, just to try to establish board presence. So let's do that. And I didn't cast any of my Train Stewards because they're just going to get destroyed, so I didn't feel like I wanted to waste them. Alright, so Datalist summoned another bomb here, and then he moved up here. Well, so now this is something nice. Because there are no enemies in this room, we're going to be able to just, attack straight through, so Datalist is going to take some damage on this turn, even before he enters Relentless, which is a handy thing to be able to do. So now, of course, I get my Horned Warrior, but I can't put him where I want to put him because we're out of capacity, so I got to decide what I want to do. I also didn't get any of my AoE attacks, which makes me sad. So what am I going to do here? I think I could kill these clergymen, but they have rage, and so when they climb at the end of turn, they're going to lose rage, so they're going to be less of a threat on the next turn. So I'm probably going to kill these discipled foot soldiers down here. And I might as well. This is risky, but I'll pull in the Horned Warrior, and because his damage is so high, he'll get a kill on the Forged Disciple. All right, Fufu4230 asks, will the challenges have different tooltips? Also, do the flying bosses still avoid the top floor? Yes, the flying bosses do not go into the pyre room until they're in relentless mode. And in terms of tooltips, we try to be like totally comprehensive. Every single thing in the game can be hovered with the mouse to explain what it does with a large amount of detail about what happens. All right, so mercifully we did get one of our AoE spells here, so we are going to be able to just blow up this entire floor if we want to. And we also got our Molting Imp, who will deal his summon ability twice, which is handy. So I think I'll pull him in here. So he did his 10 damage on summon twice, so it killed the healer that was there, and it dealt 10 damage to the Forged Disciple. And he's also kind of acting as a chump blocker. He's going to get attacked and killed by the enemy, but then the enemy's going to get killed by my Horned Warrior. All right. So what else do I want to do? I mean, I kind of want to build up the Slay trigger, and which gives me more attack on my champion, but I mean, I feel like I also need to kill all these units, so I mean, I could put the Wildwood Sap on the Deranged Brute, which will heal him substantially at the end of the turn. So, I don't know, I might do that. I think, you know, I'll put the Restore on him to give him some health. MRaider94 asks, is there any way for the player to have Relentless, either through a unit with it or a spell? So the answer to that is no, and the reason for that is it causes too many gameplay problems, basically, is the high level. So only bosses can have Relentless, only enemy bosses. All right, I just have a few minutes left, so I'm going to start to move faster. So I will just Wildwood Sap this guy. I'm just going to let him fight, and I'll use Vent on Datalist, so... And I did that, even though I am going to take some pyre damage, so we'll see the enemies get into the pyre for the first time. And the pyre, mercifully, can attack back, so it can use some of its flame energy to shoot a wave of fire against the enemies. Alright, so another wave summoned in. This looks pretty bad for the Horned Warrior, but we've got Glimmer in our hand, and Glimmer is going to absolutely wreck all these enemies. So, boom! Thank you, Glimmer. Well, let's put the Train Steward in front of him to offer some protection again. And I'll throw this healing onto our Deranged Brute to make sure he gets healthy again. Alright, Datalist summoned this bomb on this floor. I don't have any units here, so I don't care. Something new came here, so this is the Conduit Infiltrator. It has Haste. Haste is an enchantment, so it's enchanting all of the enemies in the room. If there were more enemies, they would all have Haste. And what Haste does is it makes them move. It makes them skip the middle floor, basically. They move straight up to here. But I've got one of my AoE damage spells, so I can totally trash them. We might as well do that, but not yet. Let's heal up a little bit more. Let's put this here, and there we go. Let's kill him with that. Alright, so now Datalist has entered Relentless. Let's try to set up as best as we can to survive. So I'll summon in that guy. I think we get more benefit from using Glimmer. And then I'll deal that damage and I'll end. So Datalist does 8 damage per attack right now, so we pretty much trashed that room. And since enemies attack first, right now we're not going to do any damage in this combat to him. So I'll put that Train Steward there, and then I will torch him. And let's just end. Alright. And, oh, it's looking good though now, so I'm like happy about my decision earlier to let that kind of attack go through. Even though I took some pyre damage, it did mean my Hornbreaker got stronger, and we were able to heal the Deranged Brute up fully, pretty much, with Wildwood Sap. So let's say goodbye to Datalist. And I healed the Deranged Brute not because he needed it, but because Restore adds regen, so I just wanted to give him a little bit of help there. Alright. Goodbye, Datalist. And we get some additional rewards here. What do you get? One thing that's new is you get one of these major enhancements that add Ember, add card draw, add capacity. You get to choose these after flying bosses. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what I would pick this time. I'd have to think about it, but I think it may be about time for me to end my stream for now. I'm looking over and seeing what people are going to say in terms of the people organizing the schedule. All right, cool. So I will be back streaming again later today. We can probably continue this run. I think we can just pick up where we left off. For now, I'm going to hand it to Genesee. So I do want to say thank you for joining me for this last hour. And if you are interested in Monster Train from what you saw, please go check it out on Steam. The game's coming out on May 21st, and there's a demo available now. And if you like it, you like what you saw, you liked playing the demo, please wishlist the game. Thanks.